chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You can hear with some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Everyone, welcome one and all. I almost said happy Monday. Well, it's the first official work day for the week. And yes, after a long weekend, I almost stumbled straight into that one. Good afternoon to my friends and family near and far. How are you? Welcome, one and all to another episode of Sabrina Speaks right here on CMR TV. CMRTV.com. It is good to be back with you on this fabulous Tuesday, coming off a long weekend. I hope that everyone had an enjoyable weekend and that everyone is probably tired as heck if you went over to the BRAC or with all of the events that were happening this weekend. How did you spend it? I'd like to know. How was your weekend? Mine was I'll share a little bit with you. Mine was a little bit mixed. I'm not going to lie to you. I did do a little bit of cleaning, and then I did, I must say I spent some time with my two sons, and I just enjoyed the long weekend. I even threw my hand in the kitchen as well. Yeah, I do that too every now and again. And I saw this thing trending. I'm just getting these links up here. I saw this link that was trending about, it is a chicken pasta with the Olive Garden dressing. It's a crock pot, one pot dish. And I must say, I tried it and it came out well. But you know us Caribbean people, what I did, my boneless, skinless chicken breast, I actually marinated that the night before and had it all put up and doing what I had to do with it, so that when it was time to put her in the crock pot for 3 to 4 hours, I think it said, then it was all nicely marinated and all of that good stuff. My concern, though, was that it would have been a little bit too salty, because anyone knows Olive Garden's dressing. It is a little salty. So that was my concern. So I must say, I used the entire 16 ounces to my 4 boneless chicken breasts, skinless chicken breasts. And I was very, very impressed at how it came out. I even went as far as getting real Parmesan, grated cheese. I didn't skimp on that, like how Sandra don't skimp on her mac and cheese. I didn't skimp on this one. I went to the deli and I got all fresh stuff. And I said, you know what? Let me throw my hand into this and see how it comes out. I tell you one thing, I was very, very impressed at the outcome. And I did garlic bread with that as well. I just wanted to try something new. And that's what I did. And I must say, it was a hit. So if you're seeing it really all over social media, and especially if you're on YouTube and you're like me, you forward all of these menus, recipes and stuff to yourself, you can try that one. You don't have to worry about it. I use penne pasta. And I even went and I got the real Italian pasta, so it wasn't heavy. And guess what? That pasta sucked up everything. Now, I did add a little bit more heavy cream to it. I know I have doctor friends who would say, Jesus, Sabrina, oh God. Yeah, but I just wanted it a little bit more creamier. And I did have this whole block of Philadelphia cream cheese that I added to it as well. Yeah, so now you would understand why I did go for a swim then after that meal. Not immediately afterwards, but I definitely I definitely didn't just sit down and do the ethnic fatigue thing. No, I did not. I really went and I did a little workout, which was good for my shoulder as well. So yeah, that was what I did over the weekend. And I spent time with family as well, a little bit of time. I always enjoy that part of it. So that's how I did it. If, for those of you who traveled over to the Brack, I'm hearing things were good over there, but it was hot as the hinges of hell. That's coming back. Yeah, what do you know? But all in all, with the exception of, we heard what was going on with the motor vehicle accident, yada, yada, yada. I heard things went well, and now we're looking forward to this weekend and I'll tell you the whole road map and the whole whole flow, the map of the parade I'll be sharing that in the community update. So yes, welcome one and all. Now that the links are up, this is why I like to do it before. I still like my structure for some weird reason. I see the beautiful pictures coming in. Thank you so much. But again, for those of you just joining us, welcome one and all. Now that you heard all about my my high packed caloric pasta chicken dish. It was healthy until we started adding all the heavy cream and all of the Philadelphia cream cheese. Yeah. And it was no whole wheat pasta. I do it good. But it was delicious, I must say. It was good. But welcome one and all to another episode of Sabrina Speaks, where we're voices of the islands, conversations for the world, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. For those of you just joining me, and I see our new followers, oh, that warms my heart. Thank you so much for following, liking, and subscribing. We appreciate you. But I am Sabrina. It's good to have you back with me this evening after coming off a long Discovery Day weekend and a time I'm hoping when Cayman paused to honor definitely our history, our resilience as we continue to do that during this entire month. I even got some of my North Carolina love. Anyone knows that? That's Marshall. He showed off his love over there in North Carolina. I'll be sending you that image as well into my other section. But it really showed this weekend our resilience and the journey that shaped these islands. So tonight, this episode asks an important question. Where are we heading next, really, is the real question. Cayman's growth story is what I have this one titled this evening, Facts, Not Fear. And I want to reflect on our past a little bit and examine the rapid changes that we're seeing pretty much by the second, and open the mic for honest community conversation as well. From let's talking about the whole population growth to our cultural preservation. And again, this episode brings Caymanians and residents together to talk about the future that we're building one choice at a time. And please remember that the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and our participants, is intended solely for general, informational, and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional legal, medical, or financial advice. I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability for any decisions, actions taken in reliance on the information presented. You can join me live on the conversation. I only ask that you remain respectful by calling 345-936-8255. Or you can also send me WhatsApp on that as well. I will share your messages and your concerns. And all I ask for you to do is to try as much to keep it on topic so that for those who come on for the specific discussion, we don't lose our momentum. But we enjoy having you join us, and I love having you as well. Before we go into the substantive topic this evening, and of course, we were inviting you, please continue to like, share, and follow so you don't miss an episode right here on Sabrina Speaks. Let's take a look at the weather forecast, making today's Sabrina Speaks compliments of our friends there at the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. The synopsis for tonight is calling for residual moisture that's lingering across the Northwest Caribbean will remain the main chance of showers at times tonight. A weakening ridge of high pressure will continue to maintain gentle winds before gradually subsiding through this evening. Now, radar imagery shows scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms in and around the Cayman area moving towards the west. Now, the forecast for tonight is calling for mostly clear skies with a 30% chance of showers in the early morning and possible thunder, particularly across the sister islands. Temperatures will fall to the mid 80s. Winds will be easterly 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. The forecast for tomorrow is calling for partly cloudy skies with cloudy spells and a 30% chance of showers and possible thunder. Temperatures will rise to the low 90s with a heat index of near 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, winds will be east to southeast, 5 to 10 knots, becoming light to variable later, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. There will be a low tide this evening at 5:41. A high tide tomorrow morning at 12:41 and another low at 7:18 a.m. Sun will set this evening at 6:53 and sun will rise tomorrow morning at 5:49. The outlook is calling for light winds that are expected from later Wednesday as the ridge of high pressure continues to weaken over our area. There you have it. That's our weather forecast for this evening and into tomorrow. So you can plan those activities. And oh my gosh, it's going to be hot. So for all of you who are out there working and are exposed to the elements, I only ask that you keep yourself hydrated because, oh my goodness, it's really, really, really hot. And we want to make sure that we don't have any injuries with heat strokes or anything of that nature. We want to make sure that everybody is safe for sure. Now, let's see what's making the news for this evening right here on Sabrina Speaks. And we start with local news as you all tell your friends and share the links as we are live here from the beautiful Cayman Islands. Starting with local news this evening, emergency crews were kept busy today after a series of motor vehicle accidents across Bordentown District, one knocking out power to more than 2,000 customers. Another two-vehicle collision was reported along the eastern section of the Esterly-Tibbetts Highway. And just before airtime, police confirmed yet another crash near the Jake Scotts intersection. Now, earlier in the day, firefighters also responded to a truck that caught fire along the Godfrey Nixon Highway and in the parking lot of Paddington Place. Please keep safe out there on the road. And like we said, because there are debris or authorities could be clearing that intersection by the Jake Scott, expect some delays there from that last motor vehicle accident. But please, please be careful on our roads. In another local news today, we've seen Premier Andre Ebanks is recognizing the contribution of women across the maritime sector as the Cayman Islands mark International Day of Women in Maritime of 2026. He says that this year's theme, From Policy to Practice, underscores the need for real action that expands opportunities and strengthens gender equality. The Premier thanked organizations including Macy, WISTA, Cayman Coast Guard, and the Seafarers Association for advancing inclusion and professional development. He also announced past and present women seafarers whose leadership continues to shape our industry. In another local news, we put the spotlight this evening on the Cayman Aquatics. Yes, because they are naming the 2026 Commonwealth Games team. They had made that announcement earlier on today and have selected to represent the Cayman Islands at the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. Now, the team includes James Allison, Elijah Bain, Harper Bowerman, Sierra Broadbelt, Jillian Crooks, Danny Keish, Leila and Luke Hiogo, Connor McDonald, Kiara Rabes, Will Sellers, and Raleigh Watson. Official says that the athletes will now begin final preparations ahead of the summer's competition, proudly carrying the Cayman flag on the international stage. We want to wish you all the best and congratulations for all of you making the team. From the educational front and local news, we continue with the Ministry of Education and Training has launched a new education ambassador program in partnership with the Miss Cayman Islands organization. Reigning Miss Universe Cayman, Tahiti Seymour, will lead motivational sessions in secondary schools and introduce etiquette workshop for Key Stage 2 girls beginning in the 2026-2027 academic year. Now, the initiative runs through 2027 with each title holder serving during their reign. Official says the program aims to build confidence, communication, and leadership skills while inspiring young Caymanians across the public school system. We turn our attention to regional news making headlines this evening, and we start with Cuba. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel is warning that any U.S. military assault on Cuba will cause a bloodbath with incredible consequences amid raising tensions between Havana and Washington. Now, his comments come as diplomatic relationships continue to deteriorate, with Cuban officials accusing the United States of escalating pressure on the region. This statement marks one of the strongest warnings from the Cuban government in recent months. And we will confirm and follow this story as it continues to develop, given its proximity to us right home and the long-standing ties that we have. Also, we turn our attention over to Jamaica because Jamaica's health minister, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says discussions in Geneva are focused on strengthening key areas of the country's healthcare system, including expanding access to mammograms and boosting training for medical professionals. Following a meeting with the International Atomic Energy Agency, he says he's hopeful Jamaica will benefit from additional resources and gradually expand cancer treatment infrastructure, improving care for patients across the island. We also take our attention over to the Virgin Islands. A public meeting on constitutional reform in the Virgin Islands saw strong debate over proposed rules for people classified as ancestral Virgin Islanders. The category would apply to those who can prove lineage and to ancestral born in the territory on or before 1860, giving them access to fast-track process for belonger status. Now, one resident argued the rights should be automatic, calling the restrictions unfair. Now, Deputy Premier Julian Fraser warned that the unrestricted eligibility could overwhelm the territory, while Premier Wheatley said the proposal aims to address long-standing concerns about identity and belonging. Also, we turn our attention over to St. Lucia. St. Lucia is rethinking its migration framework as falling birth rates and a growing brain drain reshape the country's demographic outlook. Officials says nurses and teachers are leaving in large numbers, while fertility rates have dropped below 1.4%, far under the level needed to sustain population growth. A new gender sensitivity migration policy developed with the International Organization for Migration aims to balance risk and opportunities by strengthening labor mobility, protection systems, diaspora engagement, and climate-related migration planning. Now, the draft is expected to go before Cabinet very soon, and of course, we will keep you up to date as that story unfolds. Do you all see the similarities of what's happening even with the brothers and sisters and other BOTC jurisdiction? We're all one at the end of the day. Further afield, we put our spotlight this evening as we wind down the news segment and give you an update on the Ebola outbreak in Uganda. Health officials say a deadly Ebola outbreak continues to spread across the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda, with more than 600 confirmed and 6 suspected cases reported. Now, authorities says they're also estimating over 100 suspected deaths as response team work to contain transmission in affected region. Now, international health partners are monitoring the situation closely as both countries ramp up surveillance and treatment efforts. We will definitely, again, keep our eyes on this as this becomes breaking news, and we will keep you up to date with all that's happening. Elon Musk is planning a listing for his rocket company next month. Could deliver one of the biggest payouts ever seen in the space tech sector. Early investors, including major venture capital firms and mutual funds, stand to make enormous returns after backing the company nearly 25 years ago. The move was first reported as an exclusive read by Financial Times, which said the listing would unlock unprecedented gains for long-term supporters. What this means, my friends, is that Elon Musk is planning to take his rocket company and put it public next month, meaning that people will be able to buy shares on the stock market. Now, if this goes ahead, the people and companies who invest early in the earlier days, the venture capital firms, mutual fund firms, and other backers who put money into the company years ago will make a huge amount of money. And because they invested when the company was small and risky, the value of their shares has grown massively over 25 years. Now, going public would finally allow them to cash out and collect those profits. So in short, my friends, if you're into all of that, if this listing happens, guess what? Musk's early investors could walk away with one of the biggest payouts ever seen in the space tech industry. Oh, yeah. So I'm not into it, but if you are, cha-ching for all of you. And the business roundup for today, U.S. markets closed lower today with the Dow Jones at 322 points and the S&P 500 of 0.67%. And the NASDAQ is slipping at 0.84% as rising treasury yields pressured sentiments. Now, Canada's TSX edged down slightly while European markets were mixed, with small gains in London and Frankfurt. In Asia, Shanghai and Hong Kong advanced through Japan's Nikkei dipped. Oil prices eased with WTI at 104 and Brent at 111. While gold and silver both fell sharply, the US dollar strengthened across major currencies. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes our news segment for this evening. Welcome, welcome, one and all. I see you all. Hoping your day is going well, and it's good to be back with you on this fabulous Tuesday. Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to make sure I get you all that's happening here as we put the spotlight, because another roads are going to be closed on Saturday, and I know a lot of you want to go and take in the sights there of Cayman. So we're going to share this with you so that nobody's caught off guard, or if you are actually going to go and do some errands on Saturday, you keep this at the top of your mind. Yeah, because the parade will start from 1 o'clock. And what we're seeing based on what's out in the public's domain is that it will start from Memorial Avenue. That's Boilers Road. And they will be staging there from 11 until 12:45. And then they will come straight down along Harbor Drive to Fort Street. We know how that will go there. And then it goes then to Lawrence Boulevard. This could not, yeah, here we go. There we go. Fort Street, Eastern Avenue along. So pretty much it's just one straight road starting from Memorial, and then it ends. Then we see in the Lime Tree Public Beach area all there on Saturday. So yes, it's just one road. They're not coming into the inner roads of town. They're just keeping along the long stretch there. So any intersections trying to go on to 7 Mile Beach Road as we know it. Bottom line is, I would just suggest you all use the bypass if you have to go in or out of West Bay to avoid any delays or disappointments. And then if it's anything and you want to catch it on the routes, then you try to go ahead of it following the maps and the expected times. Now with heat, with the temperatures that we're seeing right now, I can only hope that my revelers will make sure that they are well hydrated with the right stuff and having fun, as we don't want any heat stroke issues out there. So yes, Cayman 2026 has officially dropped their roadmap, as we're seeing here. And you got to mark your calendars, because this takes place on Saturday, May the 23rd, as the Carnival Energy will take over Grand Cayman from Memorial Avenue straight to Public Beach. So no, they will not be circling in town. None of that will happen. Organizer says that masqueraders can expect nonstop vibes, music, and definitely sunshine along the full route, with crews already gearing up for an unforgettable day on the road. So we will keep you abreast with all of that. And we want to thank all the proud sponsors. This is now a combined event, a national event. We just want to make sure that everybody is safe on the road and that they do the responsible thing. I mean, we see what's happening, right? So yeah, but looking forward to that for sure. I'm going to make sure I'm hydrated. No, I will not be jumping. But I'll be jumping on the side road. Oh yeah. No shame in my game there. Happy birthday to all of those persons who are celebrating birthdays today, and definitely to everyone who is celebrating life or even a wedding anniversary. From all of us here on the Sabrina Speaks, we want to wish and share that happiness and that joy with you today. And lots of love from all of us here. Condolences as well to all of those who are mourning the loss of a loved one. I've gotten some news of some passings today, but I like when it's official, and I'm seeing it on other sites. But again, we will share those when I see them more on a public forum here. But Sister Islands, yes, and everyone who's impacted, our thoughts and prayers go out to you. And yes. So our condolences, and even those, there was a funeral of a young lady this weekend that hit home. And I know that there's, like I said, I always say it here, there's no blueprint for mourning. And we just look at the age of our young people. And, we have so much to still yet be thankful for, but some fight, some survive, and some just lose their fight. And they're no longer with us, but in our memories and our prayers. My prayers are only going up to the families of those as you navigate this time, knowing that there's going to be a missing sibling or space at the table. And that goes up for anyone who is, like I said, mourning the loss of a loved one. So, yeah. North Carolina love, good evening. Let's start a roll call for all of our diehards and even those who don't comment. We see you, we love you. I get the feedback off air, so thank you so much. And look, he was celebrating. Look at there. Look at what North Carolina love. Yes, he showed and he contributed to his Cayman Heritage Month in North Carolina. Watch him. Oh, heart, that what you talking about, you tomato one. Poor brute. Oh, only you fooling yourself, my friend. But you look good still. You're in denial though. You're not 21. I see that age knocking, my friend. Oh my God, Marshall, I love you to death. You know that nugget change that. But thank you for sharing. Yes. I did get permission to share this picture, and it just shows no matter where you are across the world, you can still represent home and do it with pride. And yes, Marshall is definitely showing up as young, old as he's becoming. Oh yes, you brute. I got you. But thank you for sharing the love. Good evening. Yes, Palmer 6761. You couldn't find me on Facebook? You found me now? Facebook? Yeah, you go either on CMR or Sabrina Turner Community Activist. I'm right there. I'm live because I posted the links. And if you're on the CMR WhatsApp channel, the links are also posted there as well. So I'm not so sure what's going on, my love. People have been saying that. Maybe you can look on Reels. If you don't see us on the main page, you can click on Reels, and sometimes Facebook will put us on a reel, and it wouldn't be on your post, not on your timeline. You literally have to click on Reels to see it there. So sorry for anybody who's actually having those challenges. Finding me on Facebook or any of the recordings here on the CMR platform, sometimes you have to actually look under Reels as well, which is usually on top. Yes, Connie is in the house, and yes, sharing her love. Good evening to you. This is a beautiful orchid in bloom that she's sharing with us this evening. And she's also sharing with us a white desert rose. That's beautiful. Pink and white. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Connie. I see Donnie was here as well. And oh, look at yours. These are beautiful as well, Dawn. Oh my goodness. Man, you guys are really, really, really coming up with these beautiful flowers. So yeah, I hope that these brightens people's day. So Connie is sharing with us her orchid and her white desert rose, and Dawn is sharing some with us as well. But why I could do it, Dawn, I could keep some of yours for tomorrow, my friend. Oh yeah, here we go. Let me get these. That white one, Dawn, is beautiful. Oof. And anyone knows Donnie, she has a plant nursery, even though Connie doesn't. Connie collects them. Look at this from Dawn. Look at that. That's a desert rose. That's beautiful. Is this their time for blooming now? Is it their time? And look at that. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys for sharing. You guys are budding content creators. There's more too that Dawn has shared with us, including a orchid. I will share those with you tomorrow, so that we'll just spread it out a little bit here. But yeah, thank you, Dawn. But this one, oh my goodness, that should look good at night, because you know the secret to a garden is that all white flowers, in the darkest of night, you can see white flowers. And I was just walking through somewhere it was I was. And I heard that, and it didn't even dawn on it. So yeah, it didn't. Again, I'm no green thumb, but yeah, white flowers. You see them so beautiful at night, and especially with a full moon. So thank you, ladies, for sharing with us the love, and you're being so loyal here and sharing that with us. We appreciate it, and I'm hoping that all of you appreciate it as well. Yeah. Real Michelle is in the house. Hello, my CMR fam, and I hope everyone is well. Lots of hugs to you. Dominique, good evening. It's been a minute. How you been doing? Keeping well? Thank you for your continued support. Yes, good evening to you. Damian Henry is in the house. UK love, staying up late as usual, and we appreciate you. Damian Henry is saying good evening all. Never let the things you want make you forget the things you have. Life does not have to be perfect to be wonderful. Oh, nice. Thank you for sharing that. Really sobering, and definitely look into that. That's profound. Thank you for sharing with us, Damian Henry. Love all of the positive feedback and those quotes that you share with us pretty much every day. Despite the time difference, you stay up with us, and I want to let you know we appreciate you. Aliano is in the house. Good evening to you as well, my dear. And Miss Dorothy from the U.S., Fort Lauderdale, is it? Or wherever in Florida, somewhere. Yeah. It's good to have you as well, sharing the love. Oh, God, no jumping for me. You're mending. Look at who's here. Good evening, Alfred Real. It's good to have you with us as well. And also another UK fan, Miss Lucille. Good evening, Sabrina. Blessings on you all. Stay safe. Lots of love as always. And we appreciate that, Miss Lucille. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was my YouTube. Yeah, I realized it afterwards. Yeah, I realized it afterwards when I was reading it. Appreciate it, my dear. Oh my God, beautiful flowers. See, Miss Dorothy is loving the flowers. Yes. And Dawn, Connie is thanking Dawn for those beauties. So you know where you can go. Florida. Thanks. I know I wasn't too far off. Thank you for confirming that. Connie, you know where you can go to get beautiful orchids and desert rose. Check Donnie. Dawn. Yes, I agree with you, Real Michelle. Well said, Damien. I must say, Damien comes up with these things. He is good. He is loyal, and he's always really hit the nail on the head. And this is why I make sure that I share them with you, and it's not hidden at all, because sometimes you never can tell. These little, messages and quotes and stuff can make somebody's day and make people have a total different perspective on life. And that is why this space is ours, and we appreciate all of the contribution. If it's one thing I look for is when you go through these comments, our loyals, the pictures before the show and all that sort of stuff, even when they're using their mobile data, they're in traffic and they're sending me pictures. That's dedication. That's the love for this space. And I'm letting you know it's not unnoticed. You are greatly appreciated. And thank you so much for all that you do to contribute to this space. Andrea Stone, good evening to you as well, and welcome to the Sabrina Speaks platform. It's so good to have you join us this evening as we take a look. And for all of you who are just joining us, it's good to have you because we're going to go into the conversation that is very important, in my humble opinion, a bit timely as well. And I feel that, deeply personal a little bit when you look at us coming out of Discovery Day weekend here. And this episode I've called Cayman's Growth Story. Facts, not fear. And that title is intentional because when we talk about growth, population, changes, development, so much for that. Oh my goodness, where have you been? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Where have you been? They kidnap you?
Good evening, ma'am. Sometimes I decide to be. Sometimes I decide to be a spectator, a sleuth, a spy, just listening but not talking.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, it's good
Well,
to have you. Welcome. What have you been up to?
well,
When you quiet, I worried.
Well, yeah, well, thanks very much for the opportunity again. But yes, there are just sometimes, Sabrina, you've been there. You've got stuff that you're doing, and sometimes it comes in spurts. Sometimes, like the things you have to do, and then it's almost as if I don't know, it's something you have to puncture, and then sort of like when it settles down, then you go back to normal. So I've been really tied up, and so. I think I did mention to you that I'm doing a book on statutory interpretation in the Commonwealth Caribbean.
You did.
Yeah, I'm very far advanced with that, and I'm now starting to meet some deadline. But you'll hear a little more about that in due course. But I've got 4 specific points I'd like to raise, and I do think they do broadly fit in within what you're trying to discuss today. But before I get to that, I just want to thank people who sent in very nice messages. I had a birthday 6 days ago.
Yeah, which we missed because you went MIA. Honest to God, I remembered it, But for some, because I'm expecting you, that was the trigger. So my apologies there. But happy belated birthday.
Well, thanks very much. And I mean, the birthdays were very rich because they came in. Oh, we wish you success with your court of appeal cases and this and that. So it was very, very nice.
This is why, if you notice, sir, I do general birthdays now, unless they're specific. Because there's always somebody you're gonna miss.
Yeah. And then you see, when you miss somebody, then you say, well, did she miss me by intentionally?
No.
Does she like me? Where do I stand with her?
No, never from me. Never from you. Will know whether or not I got asked to grind with you. I am not a fake. Trust me.
Of course,
I'm respectful.
I know you enough, but although it's more by reputation, do you know that we haven't actually really formally met, like physically and that kind of thing? Yeah, but we've communicated quite a bit. Yeah, so the second thing, you spoke a little bit about St. Lucia and BVI, huh?
Yeah.
That is very interesting about what they're doing there, and that in the BVI they want to go back and say, if you've got a lineage going back from 18 something,
1860,
and that you. They really respect their. Again, I don't want to say it wrongly. They have for a long time respected their slavery history. Now in Cayman, I think it's gone up and down. Now you do have Emancipation Day, but at some point it was not being celebrated. But in the BVI, they've been very consistent about this. They even have a place which is called Long Look. This is a place which was like a bastion of slavery. And they created a special area of land where they said that if you can show lineage in that particular area, that you were part of the slave community there are some special concessions you can get to buy land there and so on and so forth. So now that they are talking about expanding that to mean to everybody who has got a lineage from that far back. That's very interesting. And then also interesting that in St. Lucia they are also looking at how the indigenous people might are going. Was it at 1.4%? You said like the birth rate
Yes,
in St. Lucia.
in St. Lucia.
Yeah, which is not enough for them.
Have dropped.
Yeah,
the fertility rates have dropped below 1.4%, which
yeah,
ties
and
into
for you,
all that we were saying as to why we're outnumbered in our own country.
Exactly. And because you need to have 2 point something, to even break. Well, you need to have 2 to begin with to break even. But if you are going to increase, you need to have at least 2.1, or they say statistically 2.3 or something like that. One guy who talks about this a lot is Chris Saunders in Seattle. I learn a lot from him as well. So you see, why I mentioned that, Sabrina, is that while these other countries are trying to see how much they can preserve of the previous their history, in Cayman, it has been said that they do not want to make a distinction between new Caymanians and old Caymanians. I think Danny Warren prefers the term new Caymanian and old Caymanian. And every time he has made that point, he has made that point on your show, he's made that point on Sabrina's show, and I think other shows as well.
On Miss Sandra's show.
Yeah, and they keep saying, "Oh no, but that is going to be divisive," But look at these other countries. They are not saying they don't want people to come to their country. They are just saying, one, we don't want to be erased. And that is a concern that in Cayman is a real big concern. We want to work together and live together with people from other countries. But surely we must be preeminent. We must be, first of all, we must be majority in our country. And also we must be given some preference. So I would urge the government to relook again at these issues. By the way, I read something that they put out a week or two ago. It was not a statute itself, but it was like a write-up trying to explain to people, like who a Caymanian is of right is. And I remember a friend of mine in Cayman sending that to me and saying, well, look, it looks like they want to expand the meaning of Caymanian as of right. And she expressed a lot of concern about that. So to me, I just feel that the government hasn't sufficiently dealt with that issue. I think that what they are trying to do is not in accordance with what people want. People want a distinction between the old Caymanian and the new Caymanian to
for the ease of understanding, the context.
Exactly. In any country, look at, in South Africa, there was this beauty queen who won the contest there. She was born in South Africa, but it turned out that actually her parents were Nigerian. But she also had a twist in that one of her parents was an illegal there. And yeah. But anyway, the reason I bring it up is because even there, somebody who is born there was not seen as a South African. You understand? Now, they were ready until they found out the illegality. They were ready to say, okay, you are South African because you are born here. That's fine. Just like anybody born in Cayman, they're born in Cayman, that's fine. But surely a person who is born in Cayman and becomes the first generation Caymanian is different from a Caymanian who has one parent or both parents with a lineage going further back. There's a slight difference. And nobody is saying that they should have really fundamentally different rights. The people are just saying, look, don't allow us to be erased. And that's a problem. Now, related to that, I called Sandra's show a week or two ago. And Wes Howell was on with the premier, and they were talking about, again, immigration. I called in and I said, can you please clarify this transitional thing about how the new rules will affect those people who are already in Cayman or those who come before or after the 1st of May?
Right.
And Wes said, I like to call him Wes because we work together on some projects. I really like the guy. What Wes said was, no, look, those transitional provisions will only apply to people who have already applied for status or for PR or are going through judicial review.
But that was not what was discussed in the public consultation phase, that it was anybody who were already on their, and I quote, immigration journey, meaning anyone who was already here.
You've just completed my point. You've just completed my point.
And that's a quote.
Exactly. And it was repeated many times. It was even on the other show, on Tammy's show, on the other show, when the Premier was on with the Deputy Governor, they said that. The Premier also has said it repeatedly to say, hey, your period of time starts on the 1st of May. That's when it starts. It doesn't affect anybody who is in
already
Cayman.
Here.
And yet, already here. In other words, according to the way they've been repeatedly announcing it, so long as you were in Cayman before the 1st of May,
under the old
these
system,
new
it
measures
applies. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So long as you were there, this new system won't apply to you. Only those people who come from the 1st of May will these new periods of 20 years and 9 years apply.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, if you ask me today what the law is, I'm not quite sure, because when I go to the law itself also, it's not very well explained. So, and the reason I raise the matter is that I think the government needs to better explain it. And this is what I said to Wes, because I didn't want to take it up there, to the extent to which I'm taking it there, because I just said, Wes, what you have said is different from what other people have said. So you just need to better explain it now. By better explain it, I just mean be clear. At the moment, you are sending two messages. So that's what I'm asking. I hope that, you've got your old colleagues from government, the Premier, and those are people you work with, you know them. I would wish that, somebody can come on your show and explain what the position is, because at the moment, it is very, very unclear. Now, last point.
Remember, one of the key things as well is that they're not there to give advice. You are encouraged to find a learned person, either that of an attorney or someone specialized in immigration law. And that is why I can understand them being guarded. Now, let's look at it for what was placed in the public's domain for education purposes versus what is in the law.
Exactly. You see, you're right that, yes, the attorneys should tell us what it means. But before we even get to that, the government should tell us what they intended to do. And tell us, they should say, well, our policy was that it shouldn't cover, or it should cover those people who came before before the 1st of May. They should say, this is what we intended. And then we can then go to the next step to say, has the legislation is drafted given effect to what you want? So first of all, they have to say what their policy is, clarify it. And once they have clarified it, then they should be able to say, and that policy has been implemented in section this and section that and so forth. At the moment, they are sending two messages.
Yes.
I think the public is confused. A lot of them now believe that this doesn't apply to people who are
already on their journey, their immigration journey.
I remember Danny Warren asked the question, I think, on one of the earliest meetings they had, because the journey, you're right, they kept saying the journey, but what is the journey? If I'm already in Cayman, have already begun the journey. Have I already begun the journey? Or have I begun the journey only after I apply?
That was not explained. But then we kept asking, what is the transitional clause? That was multiple discussions on this, and then whenever they would go publicly, they would keep using the line on your immigration journey. But now, hold on, as you rightfully say, was it something that was overlooked, unintended consequences? Maybe that's the case. Now, what really, as you rightfully say, was intended? Did they intend for it to only impact anybody arriving here and getting any work permits approved or whatever application submitted on or after May 1st? Or
Yeah.
Was it intended to impact only applications that were received on or after May 1st?
Exactly. And once they explain that, then they need to tell us what the projections are. They need to say, okay, fine, because this doesn't apply to people who were already in Cayman. This is the way it will impact the status grants in prospect. You know, we expect that we'll be granting 1,000 or 2,000 per year and this and that and so on. So a lot of the questions that people want to find out are informed by what the legislation is intended to achieve. Okay,
but you know
and
what's
they
going to
could
be
actually
used? You know what's going to be used? Ignorance to the law
Go
is
ahead.
no excuse. Go and read the regulations, because we have heard this from multiple persons from ministerial level and also the elected arm. Educate yourself. We're putting the PR out. It's for you to educate yourself, which is not fair to the people, because exactly as you pointed out, there has been mixed signals. And you know where it hit home? Because even persons on work permit renewals who are already on their immigration journey, the new rules now apply to them who's already on their journey.
And by the way, I don't think the word journey is used in the legislation.
So, and this is by no means making fun of them, because really and truly, if we don't do that to try and calm it, then we cry. Unintended consequences, and no one is saying that it was not needed. But what is a disservice and a disadvantage until we get multiple lawsuits from what was being said versus what is now put in law? Who can you trust? Who can you believe?
Yeah. Who can you trust? Because I remember actually in the early part of when the discussion, I was having a chat with OC with my big mouth, and then I put the question to him, and then he said, well, actually he had spoken to people in government, and they were telling him that everybody is going to be grandfathered in so long as you are in the Cayman Islands.
There
and I
we
remember
go.
him
So
saying,
it aligns with the
I
journey.
remember him saying, yeah, and like you, who has some specialized knowledge on immigration, so does also OC. And OC, he said, well, if that's the case, he said, I think we are in trouble. I think that all that the government needs to do for now is explain what the legal effect of the legislation is. If they intended initially to do one thing, but they have now changed their mind, then they should make it clear that initially when we started off, we were going to grandfather in everybody, but now we have decided that we're not going to grandfather in everybody, and clarify it. To me, at the moment, they are looking very bad. Put it this way, I don't want to accuse them of bad
by no
faith,
means.
but they are starting. Yeah, they are starting to look like they don't want to come out clearly and explain everything. You don't want these things to come out only, as you say, once you go
in
to
a
court,
lawsuit,
and then it becomes a problem.
And of course, then the people lose, because it can be challenged, and it could be something that could be avoided if you nip it in the bud from early. Me, I would respect if we got it wrong, or if there was a slip in what we intended, versus, because we brought that up on many occasions as well in our discussion, saying what you say and what comes out in legal drafting sometimes mean two different things, and you catch it because you read line by line, not in circles.
Exactly. I mean, when I used to write legislation, one of the things that it was always very challenging is, first of all, you have a discussion with the client ministry. What do you want to achieve? Okay, this is what we want to achieve. And then you ask questions back and forth, and then finally you say, okay, I now have enough information to be able to write something which you can look at. Then once I write it, then you have to carefully look at it and say, okay, have you captured what we want?
Yeah.
And that also is a process. Sometimes you've got to iron out some creases and so on and so forth. But in this case, I just feel that whatever they did in that process, ultimately they are not explaining, they are not telling us this is what we wanted to do and this is how it is reflected there. They keep using language which is not in the legislation, like the journey and this and that and so on.
Now let's spin it.
Anyway,
for all of those who were crying and is happy for the immigration reform, despite it could be challenged under human rights. because there are a number of angles you can come after that if it is actually as written in law, contrary to what was being marketed. When it became law, it became something totally different. Some may be happy that that's the case, because remember now, they're working on the point system for permanent residents as we speak.
Oh, yes. By the way, they're working on that to see if, they can change that as well. Now, for me, it's interesting that you should raise that. For me, the point system, Sabrina, I don't think that it has any fundamental solutions to it. I think it will help with a few little things here and there. Where the fundamental solutions lie, it lies in precisely what we've been talking about. Who is grandfathered in, and how are they going to be grandfathered in? And one discussion I would have loved to talk about. I was speaking to a former MLA some time back, and he reminded me of what they had done in one of the earlier pieces of legislation. What they did was they said there, look, we don't want the guillotine to drop, and then you find that you miss your...
You cut off your nose to spite your face.
They cut off by a day or two and so on. So what they had done in that case, they had said, well, look, if you had just come to Cayman, the new law will apply to you. However, if you had been in Cayman, like I think they said something like for 5 years, then they would grandfather you in because you were already starting to see the finish line. You know what I mean? Because they said, well, at least if you've been here 5-6 years, at least we can say you have developed some kind of expectation, although it's not legally recognizable. You started planning your life to say maybe in a year or two apply for PR. So they made an exception for those. Now, they didn't even try to do that in this. Okay, I would have loved them to do that. I mean, okay, they could have just said, okay, fine, it's going to apply to everybody. Or they could have said, okay, it will apply to you only if you've been in Cayman for less than 5 years or something. But all those things, you see, were never discussed. But anyway, I think they owe us an explanation. But the last point is more controversial actually than this one. This one is the most important, but I don't think it's controversial. I noticed that the Ombudsman has brought a new action, but I don't want to comment about the case because I understand from the what I read in the paper, and it is on the website, I understand. They are trying to see if even before the case is heard, that they can retire her as a regular civil servant. Because a regular civil servant, I think now retires, generally speaking, at 65, and I believe she'll be 65 sometime this year. So even as the case is going on, they are trying to say, okay, although you are normally entitled to a 7-year term, since you are also a civil servant, we can retire you under that, under the general rule as a civil servant. Now, for me, I think that is unfair. But what I really want to make is not comment so much about the case. I blame successive governments in the Cayman Islands for failing to protect their own. I think I said in a previous call that the chances are that when they wanted to dismiss Ms. Ralston, I have no doubt that the governor would have spoken to cabinet or to the premier, because things like that, normally drastic measures like that are not taken. Even if the governor has the power, normally they would not exercise it without speaking to the premier and the cabinet so that they are not taken by surprise. And my problem is that on the assumption that that is what happened, what protection as Caymanians are you getting from your fellow Caymanians behind the scenes? They have, I mean, when I look at the number of people who have done terrible things, the DPP brought a charge against Sandra Hill, and it was dismissed to say, I won't even take this to the jury. And what did the judge say? The judge said, oh, actually the DPP didn't do anything wrong. That's not totally nonsense. If they brought it and you thought it was so useless that you dismissed it without going to the jury, you should have either kept quiet or actually condemned the DPP for even bringing the matter. To me, as Caymanians, are you protecting each other really behind the scenes? And that's the question I want to find out. This woman, they've persecuted her. She has done a good job. She has been independent. She has been quiet. She's not even like Dan Duge, who used to be the Auditor General, always talking to the press. This is a lady who has worked, Caymanian, qualified in every way, and they want to get rid of her for banging on the table, and she's not getting any help. I think the government should be able to speak to the governor to say, Governor, let us take some measures to try and deal with this matter as a personnel matter. If this lady needs to go to some human resources training, let her go. I don't think she needs it, but if that's the way they can compromise it, let her go, and then she can finish her last 3 years. It's only about 3 years, and then she can retire rather than remove her from office, because that will also destroy her career as a lawyer, because they will say she was removed for cause. Okay, so the real reason I want to make here is, Caymanians, you need to be able to stand up for your own. Don't allow other people to be protected, then you don't comment, and then in the back rooms you pretend you don't know what's going on, and yet you know that they are trying to persecute one of your own.
Oh
Let me
my
just leave it
goodness,
there.
you don't even understand what you just did. Meaning,
What have I
that's
done?
exactly no. What I'm saying is the statement that you just
Yeah.
made
Yeah.
is so profound that you have persons like yourself who's not indigenous that has become very vocal, and in many times, contrary, you have lovers and you have haters. That's just human nature. But for
Yes.
how you have stood up, how you have shared knowledge, and I hope at the end of the day, when we do some background check on you, there's no hidden agenda. Because Mr. Balika, I really feel you have love for Cayman in your heart. Okay. But I'll be the first to call you out if you were BSing us at the end of the day. But for the passion that you have actually demonstrated here in the execution of your duties, even now as you challenge our judicial system, our legal system, not too many persons are like yourself. Not too many Caymanians either are like yourself. Some of the things could be so trivial, meaning they will not be put back on a board or a council. Their contracts could be messed with, which is paying their mortgage. Their children are working in a specific department or for a specific family that they cannot speak, even though what they see is happening is not fair. There is injustice. Is this a true example of us being then a minority in our own country, that even when that should bring us closer together, we still become segregated? We lose our voice.
Yeah.
We lose the ability to fight and for standing up for what's right. You know, some of us have had the darts on our backs because we open and we don't stand for foolishness. And then when they don't have anything on you, they come after you personally. That's just human nature. But how many persons are like you that would do that right now? Is it because they have looked at the lay of the land? Keep your head down and you milk the land of honey and you get what you have to get, because if you even want to become vocal, even if it's in a positive way, you're always looked at as non-indigenous. Even if you contribute, it's still slapped in your face. You're not part of us, you benefit from it. Like, where do we get the balance right yet? Amongst ourselves, we are still fighting one another.
Yeah, and that's a problem. You see, the fighting one another is a problem. Now, for me, it has really been a journey. You come to a country, 2003, it is a job for 2 years. At that time, my kids some of them were still going to school. And I never thought that, I remember a lady asking me, says, oh, is this a place you might want to settle in, and so on. And so I said, well, how long does it take to become a permanent resident? She said 8 years. It was 8 years at the time. And I said, you know what? I've just got here. I'm coming to work on a contract. In fact, at that time, my plan was still to go back home and continue I had started in private practice part-time. But then we took an international job. I took an international job with the Commonwealth Secretariat. They recruited me from London and then they sent me to Guyana. So that's where I was. So the long and short of the family story was that My missus had to finish a degree at the University of Guyana, which took 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't go back at the end of 2 years, so I had to get a job close by. I got a job in the British Virgin Islands, and then she finished her studies, and then we both came to the Cayman, to the Virgin Islands, and then the kids also said, well, like, Daddy, we're already close to the United States. Why don't we go to school to the United States? So it was like one thing led to another.
Mm-hmm.
But when I came to the Cayman Islands, then at the end of the second contract, about 2005, my plans started to change. Now, how I got into this, I started meeting Caymanians. I won't mention some of them. Some of them you might know I might associated with. And I started getting into some of their fights, beach access, and so on and so forth. And when I was in the portfolio of legal affairs, I saw under my nose how Caymanians were being treated, you know. And these are people I knew very well. And slowly I started identifying with the issue, because the other thing is, apart from being a lawyer who is supposed to fight for people's rights, this was now happening to people who were very close to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then because I was trying to assist, like this lady who came in from, she came to join us, and I told the head of department, I said, you know what, I put a very good background in training. You know, I used to go to Rome to teach students from the Caribbean and from Africa, and a few of them from Europe on legal drafting. That's how I met my first Caymanian, you know, who was Julian Banks, who is now late.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started getting into that, and I found that among Caymanians, there are people in Cayman who understand Cayman,
Mm-hmm.
understand the position of Cayman in the global system,
Mm-hmm.
but the problem is they are not enough of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. There are not enough of them. And so it's like when we would get together and fight this and that cause, and then we just don't get enough people who can join in. And then you've got people, of course, who work for government. Some of them are quite brave, but they've got
But they
mortgages
can't
to
speak
pay.
because that's their bread and their butter. I mean, not a lot of them are risk takers, like I alluded to earlier on. And
Yeah.
some of them as
Mhm.
simple. Is it that important to be in favor of a sitting administration to be placed on a board or a council, so you're going to shut up and see crap that's going on? In the minute that because there is some talks, you know, politically, politicians are not supposed to interfere with boards, and it is alleged that is still rampant in certain boards. So,
Oh yes, I mean,
anyone
know
who
one or two.
stands up and says, look, I'm not going to be a part of this. One thing was said, that we are not going to interfere, political interference. I'm not going to sit here as an appointee. I don't care which government it is that put me here. I'm not going to have them interfering with me being the gatekeeper of the legislation if we say we're going to be protecting our Caymanians. And then there's obvious interference. So it's some people will just play a blind eye just because they like the stipend that they get, just because it brings them this type of power of saying, I'm on a board. But yet you're the same ones that are saying, leave here, get from here. We're protecting our Caymanians. But you sit there just to remain on the board and see BS happening, and you shut up because you want to remain reappointed. It's making no sense.
It doesn't make sense. And I'll tell you one of the things which eventually for me, it just made me unapologetic in the way that I stood up for myself and for my Caymanian friends and some people who I've never even met sometimes, but like I would hear about their problem. Maybe they call on the radio, and I call in to say, well, you should don't do this and don't do that. I found that one of the problems in government was that there was need for training on how the legislative process works, judicial review does. I spent my own time. I have a book of 140 pages on Cayman Islands legislative process. Nobody asked me to write that. And I didn't use government time to write that. It was because I was now getting committed to trying to contribute something more than just earning a salary. And then I had the other book on judicial review, 200 pages on specifically on Cayman Islands judicial review. And then there's the other one, which is a broader issue on legislative process, the one which Mr. Arden McLean recommended to the new MPs when he went to talk to them. So I spent all this time. I've also got books about Jamaica and BVI and so on, but the ones specifically which I wrote for the Cayman Islands, two of them, and then a third one, which is a generalized one, which can be used by anybody in the Commonwealth. So here I was. This is what I was trying to do, and also to do my little courses. But do you know who prevented me from even doing those courses? It was status holders initially, not even Caymanians. Status holders. They were saying, you want to do these things for Caymanians? You will make them smart. So that's what started now getting me to going to say, look. So I said, look, I came to Cayman to be hosted by Caymanians, not to be hosted by you. You came here exactly the way I came in. What better right do you have? That really made me mad. Okay? So when some people think that, oh, maybe he's against status holders. No, I'm just saying I think we have it upside down. The people who should be deciding what should happen to their country at the center should be the Caymanians.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want a status holder who came to the Cayman Islands the same way I came to tell me they put a better right to say how things should be done, or even to persecute my Caymanian friends. In the end, that's what locked me in. And since then, I'm very clear. I always will recognize the Caymanian as being somebody who is rooted in the country. I agree with Danny Warren when he says that, yes, I think we should have a term like Caymanian or New Caymanian to distinguish between the two rather than pretending. Well, let us just all be together. The public doesn't want that. The public wants the distinction to be maintained. In law, there's no big difference between a status holder and a Caymanian, except that at the moment, like a status holder can't run for office, but their children can run for office in the future. Okay, like those who got status, say in 2003, 2004, some of their kids might be getting about the age where they might be able to run. Those can run. That's the only distinction there is about the status holder, and it only holds for one generation. The next generation, then they can run. And Caymanians, I find, don't have a problem with that. They are just saying that this idea of being erased, becoming a minority, and being treated as a second or third class citizens, that's what they don't like. And that is not too much to ask. Okay?
I see. I have a comment. I have a comment, and there's a question as well. I'll read the comment from WhatsApp, and then I'll go into the question. No, the question says, where might we find Mr. Balika's article about judicial reviews? That's the first question. And then there's a WhatsApp comment that came in. It says, there are many Caymanians who are deeply familiar with the realities of life in Cayman, politically, professionally, and socially. What many of us seek is not conflict, but a fair seat at the table in our own country. Too often, Caymanians who speak up for inclusion, opportunity, and representation feel marginalized or pushed aside, including in the workplace. What is especially concerning is the growing sense that this extends beyond adults and is beginning to affect our children and their future opportunities. We believe there must be room for respectful dialogue that values Caymanians as partners in shaping the future of these islands, not obstacles to it. Thank you, WhatsApper.
Well, thanks for that comment and the question. Let me answer the first one about the book first, because that's quicker. The second one is a little bit longer. If you go to authorhouse.com, one word, and just put in my name, Simamba. If you want to put in my first name, I see it on the screen there. You put BA, it's BI, okay? If you put in Bilika, Bilika, Simamba, there will be 8 books which will come out there. The purple one, that's the one about judicial review. And you can order it online. It's called How to Exercise Statutory Powers Properly, subtitled Cayman Islands Administrative Law. So if you just go to authorhouse.com and put in my name, there will be 8 books will come out there, and one of them, the purple one, is about judicial review. Now, about the more generalized comment, and by the way, thanks for asking about that, and I hope you'll be able to get a copy. About the comment, you see, one of the things that the Cayman Islands government hasn't done in relation to job preferences is that they haven't created clear job preferences. Under the Public Service Management Act, it says that a Caymanian should only be given preference if their qualifications are roughly the same, at the same level as that of a foreigner. But that doesn't give you preference. It doesn't. What it should say is that if there is a job for which a Caymanian qualifies, then they should be given the job. So in other words, the job requires 5 years experience in the first degree, and you've got those two. Then they've got say a foreigner with 15 years experience and even 2 degrees. They should still give it to you as a Caymanian. Why? Because that's how you are going to get the experience, because you meet the requirements.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the way it is done elsewhere. So this government, I was hoping, we really talked about this quite a bit before the elections. This government should amend those 2 sections. I think it's section 26 and 41. They should amend those sections to make it clear that if a Caymanian qualifies as a job, even if there's a foreigner who is better qualified, they should give it to a Caymanian.
Given a chance.
That is we give him a chance. This is the way it is. Where I came from, many years ago when I became head of department, we also had expatriates working. But when my job was now about to be filled, in fact, it wasn't even advertised. By that time, I had been to England. I had done a course for five months, which was done at what is now called the Institute of the Institute of Advanced Legal Studies.
Mm-hmm.
It is now in the University of London. It wasn't in the University of London then, but that's where it is now. I completed that, went back home, and then came to Canada for 2.5 years to do a master's in legislation. I went back. By the time I went back, I'd been training full-time for about 3 years, and I'd been working in the office about 7 years, 10 in all. And they said, you are qualified to take over this job as a local citizen. And I was given that job. And that's how I got the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what they need to do.
Somebody gave
what
you
you
a
need to do in the
chance.
Cayman Islands.
Someone gave you a chance.
Somebody gave me a chance.
That's not the culture we're seeing within the human resources, and then even in certain organizations, based on what is coming out of certain organization, that once you label that you are Caymanian, it's like the atmosphere, because you're outnumbered. We're outnumbered nationally.
Mm-hmm.
It's no different in the workplace. And it's like you're fighting tooth and nail to just hold on to your job. Even if you come in excited, got the attitude, the aptitude, it's like you are a threat because you're local, and they make it very hard for you to survive. A story was shared with me with a young Caymanian who'd gotten a job at a local resort recently opened. Before everything opened, they had got their uniforms, started working, and OMG, the young Caymanian could not last even till ribbon cutting day, because the atmosphere became so bad against that young Caymanian. They resorted, before getting in fight and being considered an aggressor, wasn't no issues showing up to work, wasn't no issues with having the right attitude and aptitude. That was the problem. They made the environment so bad for this young Caymanian at this new location. They resigned. Now, what you think is going to happen to that Caymanian? Why didn't you last that long? It makes it look bad on them.
Yeah, it does. And who is in a position to do something about that? To me, it is the government. It is the government which is failing.
But then they're taking the feedback from those who are in human resources. 99.9% of the time, it's either someone from a foreign country. And when you look at the demographics of the individuals, they are not from here. And it's then being, the scales are tipped and favored by a lot of who's in close proximity to HR. Same nationality.
Yes, exactly. You see, and because in the private sector particularly, it is much more difficult to control. And you're right. You complain to the HR. That
And you're
person is
complaining
from
to
a certain
someone who's
country.
fighting for their life as well, because
So for
they
their
love
life,
the
yeah,
land of milk and honey. And of course, you're a Caymanian, looked at as scuffed at. They're
yeah.
not looking at the potential. You could start off as being a door person. At the end of the day, there's
Mm-hmm.
potential for you one day being the GM. But what is
Yeah.
being described from a lot of locals and residents alike, and even those who have acquired Caymanian citizenship are now being treated like generational Caymanians once they have their status, is that they make their lives a living hell. It's like you automatically become a threat.
Well, that's what happened to me. Once I got PR, and I was now offering to train this other Caymanian, and then they said you can't train the Caymanian. They refused to train the Caymanian, and then when the Caymanian now tried to to complain to a certain authority, that authority was from roughly the same nationality as the person who was prosecuting the Caymanian. And then when that person complained to an even higher authority who is Caymanian, the Caymanian said, "Well, you have to accept the management decisions of your of your superiors." I wish they had said that about the ombudsman when she refused somebody to work remotely. I wish the governor had said, "Accept the decision of the ombudsman," but she didn't say that. She said, "Well, this is bad management because you should have allowed the person to to work remotely." You see, to me, the government is the one. You see, the situation in government I find is more unconscionable because in government, the ministers, the councillors, they are Caymanian, and most of the chief officers are Caymanian. Why don't they stand up for Caymanians? Why don't they sit down and just say, "Well, I'm chief officer. The policy of the government is that Caymanians should be given preference, and this is my decision." But the problem is that at a political level, the chief officers have not been given that cover. There is no clear policy to say, okay, we emphasize that Caymanians must be given preference, but what does it mean? I know that the new minister is no longer new. Michael Miles speaks very strongly about how Caymanians must be given preference, but I haven't seen that in practice and in other legislation that I think should be changed. For example, there is no acceptance of the policy that a Caymanian should be given a job if they qualify, even if a foreigner is better qualified. I remember one time I was listening to the Honorable Ezra Miller. I rarely quote people unless I'm 100% sure. I was sitting in, and the Honorable Ezra Miller was speaking that time when he was in the back bench. And he said, "You know what? Why is it that jobs are still being advertised? When a job becomes open, there's a Caymanian who is a deputy. He is qualified, she is qualified,
Mhm.
and the references are good, the qualifications are there. Why do you still have to advertise the position?"
Mhm.
And then when you advertise it, then you say, "Well, but there's somebody from the UK who had 10 years more experience, so we gave it to him." I remember him being very passionate about that, and it has never been taken up. A lot of the jobs in government, as far as I'm concerned, should not even be advertised. Once it is open, and you've got, say, 3, 4 deputies, all of them Caymanian, and all of them are qualified, you can just say, "Fine, we'll choose one from these 4. We are not going to get somebody else." The problem is when you now advertise it to people from the UK, the US, and so on, Canada, then they come in. When they come in, they also bring another guy from where they come from, and they frustrate you. And then when you came in and people are frustrated, they go to complain. The person at the top is not sympathetic. They are sympathetic to the person they brought. I can go back again to the issue of the ombudsman. When she joined government after she left private sector, she joined work. She was, I think, the deputy at work. But then they couldn't really fit her in, and then they brought somebody from I think then they seconded her to work. She went to one department, and then they seconded her to work because somebody else was doing her job in immigration or something like that. And then when she wanted to go back, they said, "Oh, there's no job." And then eventually, finally, she became she became ombudsman. To me, even the way they mistreated her at that time was not right. Okay. But I thought that once now she had become ombudsman, I thought now they would give her the appropriate respect, but it hasn't lasted. And there's no standing up for local people. Something has just jumped into my mind. You remember the last president of UCCI, the American lady who was there, very well qualified and everything accomplished. But she wound up having a bit of a problem with the Honorable Roy Borden. And when there was that seminar which was being done, a symposium to honor Roy Borden, at which I was privileged to present a paper on judicial independence, I asked people, I said, but why isn't this being held on campus? Because the way these things happen is that because the thing goes on for 2 or 3 days, not everybody can come there and stay for the whole
entire time.
Exactly, because some people would, like students, would go off to class and then they've got an hour before the next class and they would go and attend and so on. You should have it there. And they said no. It was because the president of the college at the time wanted to sabotage it, didn't want it at the college, so they had it at the Hartwell Theatre, which made it difficult for some people to go there. And I remember the Honorable Bernie Bush addressed that. How do you allow your own person to be treated like that? To me, that's an issue where the ministry should have come in and said, you can't do this. But again, Caymanian was not being protected. A respected person like Roy Borden wound up in the end saying, well, they did this because they wanted to scupper my seminar, which is honoring me from my own people. And a foreigner was coming there to come and undercut it. And nobody said anything
because
to be able to change that decision.
I swear, sir, it's not that they wouldn't have said it. They cannot identify it. Sir, the openness and the lifting of the veil on so many topics that have been unearthed or even begin respectfully to be had on this platform has opened the eyes of many. And I will say it. A lot of people were not able to identify some of these ills until recently. If you can't address certain things unless you can identify them. But I'm going to ask you to leave me there because we got some comments and another call that's trying to come in, if you don't mind. But it's good hearing from you, sir.
Thanks very much for the time. Yeah, I just want to listen into what the other call wants to say. It's time for me to listen now.
Exactly. Thanks. I'm going to read another WhatsApp, a lengthy one, but it makes sense. So I won't be surprised if you comment or call back. Good evening, caller. Can you give me a minute? Let me just read this WhatsApp, please.
Go ahead.
I wholeheartedly agree with your comments regarding employment. That is how we would all expect the system to work in principle. However, when hiring processes are controlled by individuals or interests that may not fully appreciate the challenge facing Caymanians, and when politicians appear too closely aligned with the large and small firms alike, many Caymanians feel we remain stuck in the same cycle, competing against one another for diminishing opportunities instead of building a stronger future together. At times, it can feel like asking those who benefit most from the current system to regulate it fairly, which understandably creates frustration and distrust among ordinary Caymanians. Until governments, regardless of political affiliation, take meaningful and measurable steps to... Hold on, I'm going to have to lower you a little bit, please. Hold on. Yeah. 1 second. Until governments, regardless of political affiliation, take meaningful and measurable steps to genuinely prioritize Caymanians in employment, training, and advancement opportunities, the continued erosion of Cayman middle class will remain in a serious concern. The strength and stability of Cayman has always depended on its people, particularly native Caymanians, who have deep roots, history, and long-term investment in these islands. There must also be elected representatives who are genuinely willing to place themselves in the shoes of ordinary Caymanians, even when doing so may upset the status quo or challenge powerful interests. Many Caymanians feel that unless leaders are prepared to have difficult conversations and firmly advocate for Caymanians to have a meaningful seat at the table, the concerns raised by Mr. Belika and others may eventually become a reality. That's in part as the population continues to evolve, issues surrounding representation, political participation, and national identity will inevitably become more prominent. These are sensitive discussions, but avoiding them altogether does not make the underlying concerns disappear. Many Caymanians simply want reassurance that their voices, opportunities, and place within our country will not continue to diminish, while those in positions of influence remain reluctant to address these issues openly and fairly. Now, there's another WhatsApp, but I'll read that afterwards. Good evening, caller. You're live on Sabrina Speaks. What's on your mind? Hello? Miss Shalma? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. You're live.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Samamba. Preach it while we listen. They say you need 50 kabooms for that. And like the old people used to say, wickedness can't done.
Mhm.
Preach it while we listen. We wouldn't know it if you didn't bring it out, but they say we make sure somebody will find God. So preach it while I listen and give him 50 kabooms.
We could give him one, but we can't do 50. Thank you for that. I know.
But he needs a kaboom. Like the old people say, wickedness can't done.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for that feedback, my love, as we continue to read the comments. Good to hear from you,
Because that wicked, that's what they're doing, Cayman. It's wicked.
Mm-hmm.
It's not only disgusting, but it's wicked.
Yep.
Wickedness can't done, them old people used to say.
Well, I know for a fact that story that I gave is real. I wouldn't have no reason to tell a lie. And that one hits at the gut. So that is that story that I shared. Beautiful lies, ugly truth. Just for argument's sake, why is there a journey to PR and status for someone who merely came here as a guest worker? That should not be. They came here to work or came here for status journey. I don't know at the end of the day, but like some people go to a country, they come as a guest worker, as you've stated here, and they want to stay. Remember, we as Indigenous Caymanians and Caymanians make the law. The opportunity is there. The opportunity presents itself for one to apply to be granted permanent residence based on the length of time you've been here, the eligibility requirements. It is quite easy for you to go on the immigration system and see what the eligibility requirements is. Now, even if someone came here as a guest worker, beautiful lies, ugly truth, and our immigration laws says, this is how you can become a Caymanian. This is how you can be a permanent resident. Don't wrong the person for applying. Change the rules of the game. Good evening, caller. You're live on Sabrina Speaks. What's on your mind?
Good evening, Ms. Sabrina and Cayman. I trust you're doing well, and I'm enjoying the show because it's a topic that needs some clarity on it. And I always say thanks to Mr. Belika. We all learn something new. At least I do every time he contributes to your show. You hit a nerve about Caymanians only can seem, both of you hit my nerve this evening with Caymanians can only seem to attack their own and run them down and belittle them. I think we saw enough of this during the last election, just over a year ago, and we live it every day if we are Caymanians in this country. And it is sad that Caymanians can only find one way to uplift their own people. And it's not uplifting us. It's bringing us further apart. It's making some of us question, what does it really mean to be Caymanian and really have the love and the heart for this country? And when I said Friday that the neighborhood I live in has changed, I'm not coming, like I said, scaremongering anyone. It has changed. And it has been said today, I listened to part of what was on the other show on Radio Cayman. And I urge every Caymanian this evening, if you didn't listen to Talk Today, when you finish here with this program, go and tune into it. Because it's every place that you can find social media is ringing with what is going on in Cayman. And we are at the forefront of what is happening. We have changed, and it has been said today also, who are we building for? We are not building to enrich the lives of Caymanians. Those that come to these shores are coming for one reason, to make their lives better, and some of them never to leave these shores. Friday, it was said on your show that I was hogging your telephone line. It was said I only call in at a certain time because I hog your telephone line, Miss Sabrina. And it hit a nerve with me. If that is all my fellow Caymanians can do, when one of your fellow Caymanians call in to try to educate you on what is taking place in this country, and the majority of Caymanians don't have the slightest idea of what is happening. I will say this one last time, and I'm going to address in the perfect possible way that I can to the comments that Mr. Denver Douglas said on Friday and Ms. Connie Palmer Lynn. I'm going to be that respectful Caymanian that I am. When you come to these platforms, these social media platforms, and those of you Caymanians that sit behind them with your pictures and your profiles, and you continually nitpick, belittle, and downgrade and criticize and discriminate against your own people. I am going to ask this question in less than 3 years' time when we go to the polls again for general election. And the question will be, are you, am I, is Cayman any better off after this previous government finishes its term? I hope we all live to see it and can see some real change in this country. But Ms. Sabrina, real change is never, ever going to come to the Cayman Islands. And I hope my Caymanian people are listening, because I live in what is the reality of Cayman. I live in a place that I grew up on a little 12-mile island, 1 mile wide. And I can still go home and pick wilk during wilk season, and I still enjoy doing it. But what I disagree with is that every time a Caymanian comes to one of these social media platforms, there is always Caymanians who think that people that call in should not have a voice. And this is directed this evening straight and direct to your two people that hit a nerve with me on Friday, Mr. Denver Douglas and Ms. Connie Palmer Lynn. Reality is, Cayman has changed. Reality is, if Caymanians continue to fight, nitpick, and put each one of us down, in 3 years, less than 3 years' time, the Cayman Islands will not be any better because of you all. So I'm going to ask Mr. Denver Douglas and Ms. Connie Palmer Lynn this question. Listen good, because it's not a question. It is telling you what to go and do after this evening. Don't come on this platform and nitpick the Caymanians or any other social media platform. Nitpick at your Caymanians that see what is taking place in this country, that is trying to bring it to the forefront of every other Caymanian for us to realize. It has been said in the House of Parliament some months ago, and I'm going to repeat it so every Caymanian can hear it. If we do not stop granting statuses, Caymanian statuses, so persons coming here to better their lives that do not want to leave here, and we are forced to grant them Caymanian status. Within 10 years' time, there will be no Caymanian, no generational Caymanian no generational Caymanian sitting in that honorable House of Parliament that I have all the respect for, just like all the members. Because we might not agree on everything, Ms. Sabrina, in this country, but we have to learn to get along and live with one another. And putting your own people down, discriminating against them, calling them names, and calling out me on a talk show when I called to contribute. I asked Mr. Denver Douglas and Ms. Connie Palmer Lynn this question. Why don't you come from sitting behind your smart devices and commenting and make some meaningful contribution besides sitting behind a smartphone or a tablet or a computer? Pick up and call. I did not hold Ms. Sabrina's phone line hostage, nor her show have I ever. And I know what is right to say and what is not right to say. But sometimes Caymanians, and especially Mr. Denver Douglas and Ms. Connie Palmer Lynn, needs to understand this. I live in a free, democratic, overseas, British overseas territory, Little Tree Islands in the Caribbean, Northwest Caribbean mainly, British West Indies. And I honor that part of me every day. And I respect Cayman. I respect anyone that comes here. But I keep reminding people that the Cayman Islands is not going to get any further by the likes of Mr. Denver Douglas and Ms. Connie Palmer and many other Caymanians, generational or paper Caymanians that we have accepted in this country, till we all come together and stick together and understand that fighting against one another is not the way forward. So to Mr. Denver Douglas and Ms. Connie Palmer, I am just going to plainly say this is as plain as a Cayman Briker from West End. The Point can tell you, I have lived almost 56 years in the Cayman Islands. This is home. I have lived in another man's country. I adore where I live. I fight for it. So do me a favor, the two of you, Mr. Denver Douglas and Ms. Connie Palmer Lynn. Instead of tearing me apart, sit down, shut up, stand up, show up, and be counted. And that is how we are going to right this almost sinking ship, the Cayman Islands, to make it a better place for not only me and everyone else calling themselves Caymanian, whether they're generational or paper. That is how we are going to fix change and get behind every MP. They knew you when election time was around almost a year ago. Write to them. Call their offices and let them know that Cayman is changing in a way that after this almost 3 years is done, we will have less than 7 years left. And if we want Cayman to go down the road like so many other places and countries in this world where we don't have a voice nor we can never be seen and heard, leave it and give it that other 7 years after this almost 3 years of this government that is trying slowly to fix things in this country. Things cannot be fixed overnight. It did not take overnight to get us to where we are. The Caymanians will not get any better. Cayman Islands will not get any better unless we stick together as Caymanians, because everyone else coming to these shores are sticking together, making a living, making a profit, leaving Cayman, millionaires, and we are stuck. We will be stuck here like we tell one another we have nowhere to go. This is home. Start respecting one another as Caymanians. Start sticking up for your Caymanians and start putting your people down. Pick up a book and read to a young Caymanian and tell them about history. Because if we don't, we are going to be what we have always talked about.
Correct.
The island's time forgot, Miss Sabrina. And I'll leave it here, but we will be people and the island's time forgot that nobody wants to know anymore.
I respect.
It's reality.
And
I
feel your pain, but deliberately.
No, it's not a pain.
Hold on.
It is a piece that some people need to shut up and sit down and take stock of what is going on in their neighborhood. Because the neighborhood I live in is nothing but gated condo buildings. And it's not
There's a reason why I'm
there.
telling you to hold on.
Yes, ma'am.
For all the good that we're trying to do here on this platform, it speaks volumes why I'm giving Sonita 503 their couple minutes of fame with making a very unfounded statement, calling
Yes,
me
ma'am.
a hypocrite,
Yes, ma'am, I saw it.
who had an employment company,
Yes,
First
I saw
Light,
it.
selling
Mhm.
Caymanians jobs. That
Selling
statement,
Caymanian jobs.
that statement is so unfounded. It just shows the level
Level
of
of
ignorance,
and
because
no
you know
intelligence
nothing about
about
me.
you
You know nothing about the business that I
that
formerly
I
ran
ran
before getting into
to
political office. Was
politics.
not a job placement agency. Actually, the reputation that I have, Sonita 503, is that
Mhm,
I was accused of
mhm,
telling people the
mhm.
truth and that they should not waste their money as an immigration consultant to
On
apply
you.
for permanent residence, but to go
Mhm.
home, take their break, and come back. I was
Yes,
the
ma'am.
one who saw through jewelry companies coming here, hiring sales clerk, knowing that they were floor managers and giving them their money back. So, Sunita, your 3 minutes of theme with your unfounded allegations, whoever
Speak
you
it.
are, let me tell
Speak
you
it.
something. The quality of my work spoke for itself for the 15
Amen.
years that I ran that immigration company,
Amen.
and that went with me during my political time. That did not get me reelected, because unlike some of you that can be bought for a shilling, I
Amen.
refuse to be bought. So you get your
Amen.
facts straight. And if you come in for me, you come direct, because this is the end of the road for you when it comes to my
Good.
book. When you come in on my platform and you're going to make those kind of statements that is unfounded,
Mhm.
a fetusy.
Speak it, and it needs to be said. So I ain't coming here. I didn't come with any threat to Mr. Denver or Miss Connie. I am just setting the record straight. I have been through some things in this country, Miss Sabrina, that most Caymanians would never have survived. Okay? I lost my dear mom at 12 and month, and I'm better because of what my mother and my dearly departed father taught me and instilled in me today at 56 years of age. And believe you me, I was not one of those children that stood still. You told me I had to do something. Sometimes I said no, but I paid my price for saying no when I know I need to do something. I got a good lashing and a reminder that when
You
you
didn't
say
come for
you're
me.
going
I
to
didn't come
finish
for you.
something,
Don't come
you
and don't hide
need
behind
to
these fake
finish it.
phrases. You come, be a man. Be a man and come
Yeah,
to me. You don't hide
yeah.
behind these things.
Don't,
And
don't
I
hide
have
behind these
respect.
fake
I have
profiles.
respect. I have respect. But when you're going to come with unfounded stuff,
Yes,
and you
ma'am.
know exactly who I'm talking to behind this, don't come
Oh,
for
yeah.
me. Don't come for me,
Because you
because I
don't
can
know
take you
what
on.
road you're going down on. And I always
And I want you
remind
to identify
people,
yourself, because I ain't
yeah,
afraid of you. I ain't afraid of
you see,
nobody when it comes to the
neither me,
truth. But
ma'am.
all you will get is the truth of me. I will
Yeah,
not use profanity.
yeah.
I will not lower my standards. And you got to
No.
wonder why they call us riffraffs. But when you have nothing
Why
to
we're
bring to the
riffraff?
table, when you may have
We,
lost at the polls, and
yeah.
you still
But you
bring
still
nothing of
have something
substance
to
to the table,
contribute.
this is what you
Yeah.
do. Come personal, get your facts straight. And I
Yes,
come in
ma'am.
again, and it can still be the same high level, unbought type of execution of service, because I'm
Amen
coming
to that.
again.
Amen. But to every Caymanian who likes to nitpick at one another, wonder why you're not getting that job promotion where you were in
It's
for
these type of
15 years.
behaviors. You have
Yeah,
nothing
it's
to
the
bring to the
same,
table other
the
than come
same
after
type of
personal,
behavior.
unfounded
And,
information.
and let me tell you one piece of history on me. I experienced it in my banking career many years ago. I was called out for being a queer. As
It's just
Caymanians love to call
crazy.
people, you
We're a
old queer.
minority in our own country. You see what I'm
Yes,
trying to do
ma'am.
with this space?
Yes.
And you got come with
So
that
build
kind of
it.
thing that is irrelevant. How in the name of
Mhm.
Jesus I'm going to be selling Caymanians jobs?
I would love to know.
I'm not a
What-
job
what-
placement agency. I never sold
No.
any jobs. Anyone who has ever been with my company will know many
No,
of money
the truth.
I've turned away. Many
Thank
of
you.
them I didn't even charge.
Mhm.
So
But
go and
you
know
are the
your
worst
history.
person today. You were the right person when they
Empty
needed
barrels
to
make the
help.
most noise. You have nothing to bring to the table.
Yeah,
Maybe whoever is hiding behind that YouTube thing is one of those
should be shut
that is
down.
removed,
That
possibly want to bring curry with
with the
some
sauce, but not
politician
got no
now.
correct. Only
Exactly.
got
So
sauce.
don't come
Only
for
got
me.
sauce.
Don't come for me. This is a different version of Sabrina right now. Do not come for me. Don't do
But
it.
I don't let people fluffle or ruffle my Caymanian feathers or my Caymanian being. I know who I am. I know where I come from, Miss Sabrina. And I know that my two parents fought hard and long, and I'm going to fight hard and long to try to remedy and open my mouth, because I'm not living in no communist country where I can't open my mouth. And I am smart enough and educated enough to know what the rules of any social media platform talk show is. But some people don't, and it's mainly Caymanians who like to dish out, nitpick, and I keep calling on it out. You like to dig dirt where dirt shouldn't be dug up. And what some of you need to go do is take a good look this evening in the mirrors that you look at. Look at yourselves before you pinpoint to judge out others of what they are and what they are not. Because it is one thing I will tell you all Caymanians today, and I'm gonna listen good to this Cayman Bracker from Wellston, the point. Who grandparents hail from Watering Place and family from Spotsville. I am 68.9% Eastern European. Can any one of you say you hold a European passport? Have you dug for your history and your ancestry? Forget your European passport. I got mine. You got yours? I got my British passport too. I got my BOTC too.
Caller, Mr.
So when-
Denver is actually clarifying his comments. He says, I think you took it wrong. My apologies. I even complimented you on your vocal contribution by saying you should have your own show.
Yes, but you also said, I hung up Miss Sabrina's phone, and you clarified that the phone wasn't ringing off the hook.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Caymanians, like I say, need to shut up and listen. Hey, do me a favor. Today's Tuesday, long holiday. Someone to take a walk this evening through your neighborhood. See how it's changed.
Mm-hmm.
See the gates, see the walls, the cement walls, see the hedges, the chain link fence, and the security gates and the security cameras. We are slowly being pushed out of our neighborhood.
Caller, we are winding down with time, and I have
Yes,
another
ma'am.
lengthy WhatsApp
I will
message that I
finish
want to
there,
read. Yes,
but
ma'am.
tomorrow's
Yes, sir, sorry.
another day.
Yes.
Thank you as always.
Thank you.
And continue to give us a voice, Miss Sabrina.
Oh,
God
I'm
bless
not going to
you
stop. I'm not going to
and
stop.
your family. And we're going to just continue this Friday because it's open mic and I got a lot to say.
Not a problem,
As my teachers used to tell me, I leave this here.
Alrighty.
When I come, I don't come with unsubstantiated facts. I come with the facts.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? The truth will set you free.
Amen.
And nobody holding my mouth hostage. I still British. I still Eastern European.
All right.
But what I am, what many aspire to be when they come here, is to become like a Caymanian.
Yeah.
But I'm a generational one. Thank you,
Leave
Ms.
it there.
Sabrina,
Thank
and
you.
God bless.
All right. Take care. Here's another WhatsApp, a lengthy one. This will more than likely be the last one that I read. Advertising these roles openly would give qualified Caymanians a genuine opportunity to come forward and actively participate in shaping the future of the country in a positive, meaningful way. For far too long, there has been a participation that if someone is done by an expatriate, it is automatically viewed as superior or beyond criticism. Yet history has shown that poor judgment, failures in leadership, and controversy are not limited to any one group. Example, often raised publicly, from the handling of Operation Tempura to other controversial appointments and decisions within government, have left many Caymanians questioning why accountability and confidence in local talent are not held to the same standards. These situations demonstrate that expertise, integrity, and competence are not determined by nationality alone. Government must lead by example and set the tone by ensuring transparency, fairness, and equal opportunity in hiring and advancement. If Caymanians are consistently encouraged to gain qualification, work hard, and contribute to their country, then there must also be a sincere willingness to trust them with leadership opportunities and decision making roles. At the heart of this, the issue is not exclusion or division, but fairness, accountability, and the desire for Caymanians to feel that they truly have a stake in the future of their own country. Many people simply want a system that reflects confidence in Caymanian ability and a government that applies its own laws, policies, and principles consistently and credibly. There we go. Aliano says, just going here. Oh, Real Michelle says, but the show is not the same without you, Michelma. How you were missed when you couldn't come straight back at Christmas. Aliano says, you're listening and need Caymanian to know we need to fight those who come here and take without earning. Aliano says we need to stop the crab mindset and fighting our own. Fight with knowledge and respect. We are people of this nation. Miss Sabrina, Caymanians are solely in certain positions as an immigrant box checking exercise. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your feedback, everyone. And yeah, I thank you. We have a lot of growing to do. And like I said, I only ask people to be respectful on this place, in this space. You can call me what you want, but one thing you need to do when you come on this space, have your facts straight. And if you're going to actually come at me personal, have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. Because like I went back, I have to set the record straight. I'm not in a political position right now, and I don't owe nothing to a soul. But you see, when you come on this platform and you go try to disrespect me for speaking the truth, you barking up the wrong tree. We're all entitled to our opinions, and we can agree to disagree. But you come with your facts, and you're wrong. Don't come with allegations that is just not true. So for all of you who are sitting there behind, yes, your keyboards and typing foolishness, I want to let you know I appreciate the bad and the ugly. But like I said, you come with your facts. Come with your facts. And you don't put any foolishness out here because there are means and ways. There are means and ways. Good evening, caller. Good evening, caller.
Good evening. Good evening. You calm yourself down. I called with the medicine. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want nothing happen to my boo-boo. All right?
Nothing to happen. You just set the record straight with some of these people coming up with their foolishness.
I know, but take it when you're telling them. Tell them with the pride of the Cayman style. Okay? Easy, like Miss K used to do. Your mom was so elegant.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But listen, someone I know very well, matter of fact, the family, finished, got their master's and a job that the government had out. When they went to do the test, they had the test set like for somebody that had experience for the last 10 years. The question was not for a basic, but it is sort of a basic job, like the starting point job, you know? And just because he's really intelligent, he said, I don't know if one or two of them passed it at all. So what it seems like they put the test so high, the expectations and the questions, it's beyond a beginner. It's like for advanced stage of a job. So when he passed it, apparently what they offer him isn't what that the level, because you know government has like
We're in
and
7 o'clock,
whatever.
Miss J. So sorry, the time. That's why.
Yeah. And he like didn't know if he want to accept. I say accept it. It's below the pay, but yet the young man has his master's, and they do it that way so that Caymanians, because they have somebody a lot of times in place for the job, So they didn't expect nobody to pass the test, and he did. And the pay is beyond. I mean, it's like for beginner, but the question was for advanced. So we got a lot going on in this little island, a lot going on. And our young people are discouraged. I don't know. We got to do our best to try to help them. So just let us continue to voice our opinions like you do, and continue to open the way that people will feel brave enough to come, that we could stop some things in place, because it's affecting all of us, our children, our country, our community, because the people go away to school and can't get a job. Just my 2 cents.
All right.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Talk soon.
All right, sure.
Okay, bye.
Last caller for the evening. Yes, good evening. Hello.
Hello, Tiri, do make them send your blood pressure to whoever that is. If they listen, tell them go kiss a duck. I don't want to say bad thing, but tell them if they can't come with facts, if they don't know who you is, tell them who hide behind the scene and can't come forward. Like what the Honduran guy said, they're not a quality. So that's why they got try to measure your corn by their bushel. So don't make them, we know who you are, and that's, you're not corrupted. That's why you wasn't re-elected, because you had nothing to give out. You were going the right way, how electors, people supposed to go. You want to work for the country and the people, but you know, have no hand out and hand up and hand down. So tell them, go kiss a duck. They don't know who they talk. They don't know what they're talking. So get off your show. Block them.
Thank you very much for that. There you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this evening episode of Sabrina Speaks. Right here, I want to thank you all for your call-ins, your comments, WhatsApp, and all of you who actually comment. We appreciate you. Until tomorrow, please, please, please do have a good evening. Save the best for last. Bless you, Miss Shelma. Miss Dorothy is saying here. Again, to all of our uniform service and those on the front line, thank you for your service. To all of you who are loyals, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and share the link. See you tomorrow. Love you lots. God bless. Good night.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.